So Mark Carney just got on a plane. Paris, Dublin, then Évian. And this is not a normal foreign trip. This is the first real test of his entire foreign policy. Not in a speech, not at Davos, not in some polished statement written by his comms team that everyone loves and shares and everyone feels so happy to be Canadian. No, this is happening in a room with Trump. You could kind of say that it's about to hit the fan. You could say that the world is watching, that Europe is watching, that the whole world is really wondering what's going on. Because on the backdrop, behind all this great stuff, you have Iran burning up the agenda, with Ukraine still hanging over the world, with the oil markets just getting a bit jumpy, with a quote-unquote technical recession happening in your own country, with every country at the table trying to figure out one thing. Does Canada still matter? Or are we just really good at writing statements and having T-side moments on YouTube? Because last year, Mark Carney has been selling Canadians a very specific story. America is unreliable. The world order is breaking. Canada can't just crawl to Washington and hope for mercy. So what do we do? Oh, Canada. What do? We build something else. Europe is what was being told to us, right? We're going to build alliances with Europe. We're going to build alliances with the rest of the world, with Asia. There are many continents, many countries. We can do something called middle powers, right? That was the idea. Countries that are not superpowers, but are not irrelevant either, right? This was Carney's big push, right? We pool all our leverage together. We stand up strong to the bully. We stop begging, and we stand united. You know, that would, of course, require us to stop pretending a photo op is a strategy, because obviously that is not much of a pitch. And honestly, it's not a bad pitch. It's actually a very good idea. It's a brilliant idea. The problem is this weekend, he actually has to prove it. Carney gave a version of this speech and of this concept at Davos many months ago. And the line was good. The speech was excellent. The concept was excellent. The ideas were just top tier. Great idea. Let's do it. He said, and I'm going to go right to the guy's mouth, right? He said, when middle powers only negotiate one-on-one with a hegemon, they negotiate from weakness. They accept what they are offered. They compete with each other to be the most obedient. And then he said this, the performance of a sovereignty while accepting subordination, that is his brutal line. That is not my critique of it. That is his actual line verbatim. The performance of sovereignty. Remember that, because in the next few days, we find out if that was a warning or a secret confession. Because Carney can't go to Davos, then tell the world Canada needs a spine, then go to the G7 and come home with a handshake, a press release, and a new working group nobody will ever hear about again. That's not going to work. No one's going for that move, because that's basically just theater with better lighting. That's not anything. So now look at the room he's walking into. The United States and Iran are escalating. The G7 agenda is already being pulled into the Middle East, Ukraine, China, trade, AI, and critical minerals. France, of course, is trying to keep the summit from blowing up before it even starts. It is a chaotic moment in the world. And Trump is not going there to be managed. He is going, like we all know, to set the terms. And how do I know that? Because that's what he always does. He will set out what he wants. He walks into the room and figure out who wants the picture more than the fight. And Canada has looked like that country way too often. Now stack the last few months. Let's look at what history says. Trump threatens with tariffs. Canada responds with statements. Trump threatens the Gordie Howe Bridge. Canada again responds with statements. You see the trend here? Because the trend actually keeps going. A Pentagon official pauses participation in U.S. Defense Board that dates back to 1940. Not NORAD, not the entire defense relationship, but still a serious public slap. And Canada responds with more carefully constructed language. And on the other side of the world, the Chinese ambassador on Canadian soil warns Canadian MPs about traveling to Taiwan. Michael Chong goes anyway, which is good. That's a move and a half, to be quite honest. But ask yourself why that was even necessary, right? Why does that move happen? Why are people saying this? What's actually going on? Because every major power seems to understand the exact same thing, whether it's the West or the East. Canada can be pushed. The Americans push on trade, the Chinese push on Taiwan, the Pentagon pushes on defense, and our political class keeps acting like the answer is just another paragraph. Well, we'll respond in the Globe and Mail to that. We'll tell CTV what we really think about that. Yet the Americans and Chinese continue to just do whatever they want. So at some point, a country has to become more than just a statement. And that's why this G7 matters. Because now something's about to happen. Not because the summit magically solves everything, because they obviously don't. This is just a bunch of people getting in a room to talk about conquering the world and, right? Like, let's not even get into what they're actually doing. Most summits are expensive theater. Big tables, lavish dinners, all paid for by us, obviously. But what we get are small outcomes. Everybody smiles, everybody leaves. But this one is different because Carney made it different. He built his entire brand, his entire campaign, his entire rhetoric that Canada can lead a third path. Not the American path, not the Chinese path, not begging, not hiding, but a third path. A serious Canada working with serious countries in a serious world. That's the Mark Carney move. Let's build a third path here. Fine. You know what? Great. I like it. But today's the day you show it because he's going to the G7. He's going to smile at photos. He's going to make jokes. He's going to have cool little photo ops with Macron and all of Europe. He says he had constructive conversations. And if he announces a partnership with France or Ireland and it sounds impressive, it commits Canada to almost nothing because these things already exist. He gets a few minutes with Trump. He says the relationship is strong. He flies home and nothing really changes. That's what folding looks like because the tariffs, those are still hanging on us. Defense relationship is still strained. The bridge threat still happened. The Taiwan threat still happened. You see what I'm trying to say? These things don't go away by saying you had a good meeting. Canada is still standing there like a country waiting to be respected instead of acting like one that demands it. That is, by definition, the performance of sovereignty. Those are his words, not mine. So he gave us this framework. He told us what to judge on. He told us of this performance. So now we're watching. Is it just the performance? Because you can give the speech at Davos, or you can be the Davos speech, but you don't get to do both. So this weekend is a very big deal because this weekend tells us what Mark Carney actually is. Now, I want to be fair because I want people to be thinkers, right? I want people to really think with me here because the lazy people, they'll say, oh, you know what? Carney is weak, liberals are weak, and Canada is doomed. This has got to be the worst analysis ever. That's basically a bumper sticker. Like you want to ruin your car and mess things up and pretend to be this patriot. That's great. Get that bumper sticker that was made in America, designed by China, put it on your car. Fine. The truth, of course, is that Carney inherited a mess. Canada's defense spending was a real problem. American frustration with us does come from somewhere. It is not made up. It is not just some random idea. We have underinvested in this nation for decades. We have overpromised, and we have lived under the American umbrella while acting shocked when the Americans ask what we have brought to the table. And Carney himself is not some random backbencher who won a leadership race by accident. Like it, love it, or hate it, he ran the Bank of England. He has been in global rooms. He literally knows every single banker, every single leader of the nation. He knows these people. He understands markets. He understands institutions. This is what he's been doing his whole life. And he understands how power talks when the cameras are off. This is not his first rodeo. So yes, if anyone in Canadian politics can sell this middle power idea, it's probably him. But that also means there are no excuses. You can't be that good at everything I just said and fail when it's actually your turn to hit the ball. If you tell Canadians you're the adult in the room, then be the adult in the room. If you tell Canadians you understand global power, then use it. And if you tell Canadians Canada needs a third path, then don't come home with the first draft. And here's where Carney's theory has not really answered. A coalition only works if the people in it believe that they're willing to take the punch. Europe is not going to follow Canada because Carney gave a nice speech. Asia is not going to trust Canada because he hosted a nice panel. Middle powers do not build leverage by nodding politely. They build leverage by proving they can absorb pressure and still move. And that's the whole problem. Carney wants to build a club of countries willing to stand up to Washington. But are they? Are they willing to take this punch? Because Canada will not stand firm one-on-one with Washington. Why would anyone else be willing to stand firm together? Why would anyone else be willing to take this hit? You don't build strength by announcing it. You build it by showing the people the cost of being pushed around. And right now, too many countries think pushing Canada is free. And that has to end. Now, if I may be very candid with you guys, and if you've continued watching this until the end, I'm going to say something that you might not like. I know you lean right. I know many of us lean right. And I know a lot of you don't like Carney. And a lot of you see this whole thing and think, good, let him get embarrassed by Trump. Let Trump steamroll over him. Let the liberals own this. I get it. You know, it's like you're watching a soccer team or a hockey team and like, yeah. You can't do this to my team. I get it. I really do. But in politics, it's not the same thing. Because if Carney gets humiliated at the G7, that is not a liberal failure, guys. That is a Canada failure. The rest of the world sees it as Canada. And the next conservative prime minister does not inherit your favorite meme. He inherits the damage that just happened. He inherits weaker defense relationships, a more nervous business community. He inherits an economy that no one knows what to do with. He inherits less leverage with Washington and less respect with Beijing. And a country that keeps proving it can be threatened without consequences. You don't get to celebrate that because this is your country. As much as you hate the leader, as much as you hate the party, on the global stage, we're all Canadians. This is all Canada. I don't need Carney to win because I love the Liberal Party. I need Canada to stop losing because I live here. That's the difference. This is not about rooting for the country. And this is where politics has become really, unfortunately, a bit stupid. People are so addicted to seeing the other side fail that they forgot that the country has to actually survive that failure. So if Carney comes back from this summit stronger, good. Say it. You know, just be honest. Canada has become stronger. That's good for all of us. If he secures real movement on trade, defense, energy, critical minerals, AI, good. That is good. That is good for country. You don't have to be mad. That is good. If he actually proves Canada can work with Europe while managing Trump, good. Own it. Say it. This is your country, guys. Just because you hate the guy, the country can still thrive. Credit goes both ways on this channel. But if he comes back with the same old Canada routine, vague language, soft smiles, constructive dialogue, shared priorities, ongoing conversations, then no, that is not leadership. That's basically a screensaver. That is something that you play in the background. And we've had enough of that because Canada is being tested from every single direction by the Americans, by China, by the global markets, by defense realities we've ignored for years, by a world that does not even care how polite we really are. And this is the thing that we all really need to understand. This is my message to every single Canadian out there. The world is not waiting for Canada to find itself. The world is moving. The train is going, and it's going real fast. And either we jump on and figure out how to do things, or that train is just going to pass us right by without any apologies, without any napkins, without any Kleenex, and we're just going to be doomed. And if Canada keeps acting like every problem can be solved with a statement, then eventually nobody reads that statement. They just move around us. So here is the test. Carney has the room, he has the resume, he has the speech. He is prepared. He's got everything he needs to succeed. He's got these amazing quotes. I'm sure we're going to see clippets on the news that you're like, hey, that is my Canadian Prime Minister. He's great. He has to decide. Is Canada going to perform sovereignty or is it going to practice it? Because those are not the same thing. This weekend, Mark Carney walks into the G7 with a theory. He comes home with a result. And we will know the difference. If he delivers, if he actually succeeds, I will say it on camera with my name on it. And if he folds, well, I guess you already know what next week's video is going to be all about. That's Tarek Unfiltered.